He can dim this if he wants.
Is it on? Should be on. I think he turned it on.
Could I have your attention, please? We're about to get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we'd like to welcome you to the 21st induction ceremony of the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame. I'm Stu Smith, and I'll be your co-MC for tonight's event. And it's going to be with great pride and honor that we present to you our class of 2022 that's here tonight. Our goal tonight is we hope to make this a special night for our honorees, their family, their friends, by creating a lasting memory to be cherished for decades to come. At this moment, or this time, what I'd like to do to kick things off is to introduce board member Nick Fudge, who will sing a great rendition of Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA.
If tomorrow all my things were gone, I worked for all my life, I had to start again, just my children and my wife. I want to thank you, Lord, to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom. They can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I'll proudly stand up next to you and defend her till today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I'll proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Sing with me if you know the words. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I'll proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. I'm going to have to talk without the mic here. It's now going to be with great honor that I'm going to present to you the heart and soul of the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame, our Vice President and our treasurer, Mr. Gary Anderson. Have to do like Elvis.
It didn't seem like it was working. Okay, I'm the housekeeper, literally, and just changed out of my janitor's clothes into this a few minutes ago. Housekeeping chores. You're on the 3rd floor. 2 exits. If something happens, do not go to that elevator. There are no stairs over there. We have 2 stairs, one that goes on the outside of the building, one that goes down like a hotel. And if anything happens, that's where you should go. Restrooms, we got 2 one-holders right in the front, but we got some really nice ones in the back. These are not air conditioned. Just remember you're on the 3rd floor of a 1903 building. Okay, the biggest thing I have to do is talk about our sponsors who, if they didn't sponsor Step Up, civic-minded, generous businesses and people, then we would not be here. Simple as that. So our Hall of Fame sponsors for 2022, Atlas Asphalt. Mark Lambert's here. If you happen to be here, you might want to stand up. Ameriprise Financial Services, Andy Walmsley. Bank of Cave City. Centennial Bank. Citizens Bank. First Community Bank. James Sturch, Arkansas State Senator. Hosnick Incorporated. Mark Martin, Automotive, Ford, Kia. Rocking D and Hardware, Pleasant Plains. Here we are. And Stu Smith, Arkansas State Senator. Excuse me, Representative. He's going to run for senator sometime. White River Area Agency on Aging. Ted Hall's here somewhere. Wilf Realty and Associates, Pleasant Plains. And obviously they're here with Donnie Branston. And Wood Family Dealerships. And so please give a hand for those people because they're basically our MVPs. All right. Let's recognize also Main Street Foundation. This is their floor. This is really not part of the library, but it's a 1903 building, like I said, and it's administered by Teresa Elms and Ellen Schaefer, and they are here, and this is unique. And we appreciate so much them letting us have this at a really reasonable price. Red Line Media Alliance. Just stepped up here a few days or hours ago, and he is going to film and record this, not live, but available as soon as possible on YouTube, and just go to Red Line Media Alliance and you'll have a quality professional copy that you'll have forever. We're stepping out from the digital age. Because when we had these in the past, and some of you old timers remember, we would go to White's and hang pictures on the wall and get up and do this, have a guard article and a radio, and that was it. That's where the hall was. Then they went out of business. So we had to move to Western Sizzling. We went there, they went out of business. So nobody wanted us anymore. So we had a gap in here. If you look at the whole history is on these placemats, front and back, to that degree. And so we went from that to placemats, progressed up, and now we're proud to say we're going to enter the digital world. And so you'll see, leading to say this, when you go in the food room, the food line, you'll see a slideshow. And that's off of Google Drive and basically technology. And we're going to have, at some point, get a website and a Facebook more, so everything that will be, you folks here in the middle will live in infamy forever, you know, as long as we pay the website bill. Those are not ready yet, but what we're really proud of, there's going to be, we have a section in the library that they're going to give us a place that we can put a TV with the slideshow. And when I talk about the slideshow, I'm talking about every person that's been inducted since 1988. And we're working on doing the Estes Awards recipients now. So just telling you where we're coming from and where we're going to go. And it will be some other displays and some books and things that have hard copies of things that will be interesting. And then we'll move to the museum in a similar method and possibly over the community center. So somebody can come in and just sit and review this. After you get on the website, you can do the same thing. And so we're really proud of that. The person that started us this semester was a student in the East Lab at Cave City High School, and we didn't really know what to do. So she started taking our information and formatting and creating and so forth, what you see. And so she had a semester project out of that. And so she's one of our MVPs too. And her teacher, Coach Danny Branscombe, is in the back. And he was very helpful to us because we had to look up and research, Ron Cheatham mainly, hold all of the information. You can't Google some of this stuff. So a lot of work went into that, and so we're so appreciative. And she's only was a sophomore this year, so she'll be around for the next year or two. And the reason it's important, it's going to keep your night and all of the others in the same professional format that you can retrieve digitally. And so we're so proud of them. The board, the volunteers that make us go. Stu Smith, he said has the heart and soul. He's our spiritual leader. I'll call him our spiritual leader. And he motivates us and cracks the whip and so forth. I'm more of a nuts and bolts guy. Lance Hall is our secretary, and he's in charge of technology and a couple of other people, but he's put a lot of time into this and will develop all this other stuff. Ron Cheatham, we call him our chief biographer. He spent a semester of his life digging, and so when you see all this stuff on the technology, you'll understand. We had to go back and look at the old guard articles and just painstakingly go through and guess, when did they have a banquet in 1988? We don't know. There's 365 days out of the year. So anyway, all that's, and you got to love this. You need to like sports, but you got to love history and connect the dots with generation and generation and generation. And that's very important, in my opinion. Hannah Smith is our events decorator, our events director and decorator. Dennis Smith is her husband. He's our food guy. Jack Sanders is in Columbia. He may be watching some way. Somebody's probably FaceTiming him back. Nick Fudge was our vocalist. Danny James helps us on research and stuff. And everybody on here has done something. Johnny Johnson is the jack of all trades. Dr. Matthews is out west as we speak. I told him I was going to get there and tell him that he chose a trip to Mexico rather than talking to y'all. Matt Wentz is another technology guy out there. He's a young one. We're trying to get some young people involved in this. And then Andy Wantley, also one of our sponsors. But so everybody has a job. Everybody contributes to make this go. And we're trying to take it to another level. What did I miss? Lance Hall, invocation. That means we're getting closer to eating.
All right, it's about ready. Let us pray. Heavenly gracious Father, we just ask you to be with us this evening to celebrate these inductees here tonight. We just thank you for their accolades and their service and commitment to their community. Father, we just ask you to bless this meal and those who prepared it. Bless it to our body and our bodies to your service. These things we ask in your Son's name. Amen. I do have one thing. These double doors over on this side, if we'll file through those double doors, go right across the hall, form 2 lines on each side of the table, and then you just circle around, come out the other side of the door, and then you can come back in here and be seated and eat here. So I do ask, since we're celebrating the inductees tonight, I do ask that they go first. Then anything else beyond that, you can elbow whoever you're standing by and get to the food line. So you may eat.
Our official ceremony. I'd like to start a little tradition. There are so many great stories embedded in this Hall of Fame. Each induction ceremony from now on, what I'd like to do is to maybe tell a story about a past inductee. I love history, and there's some really, really great stories of the lives of some of our inductees. And tonight I'd like to tell a story about a 1988 inductee, which was the first class of the Independence County Area Athletic Sports Hall of Fame. And his name was Tom Murphy. Now, most of what I know about Tom Murphy comes from a young lady that knew him well by the name of Thelma Pickens. So I would like to tell his story. Tom Murphy was born in 1909 near Egypt, Arkansas, over in Craighead County. When he was a very young boy, his mother and father, as a 6-year-old, his mother and father were killed in a farming accident. Tom and his brother Cletus at that time were sent to the Oddfellow Orphanage here in Batesville, which is where West Elementary School is now located. They grew up in the orphanage, but before that, the first day they were there, Tom and Cletus ran away trying to go back home, and the next day they were found in Newport. 2 young boys, 6 and 9, went 27 miles in one day. That should have given some indication of what kind of an athlete Tom was going to be. Because as he grew up in the orphanage, he became very popular with the younger kids. He became a great athlete at Batesville High School. They had a rule, though, at the orphanage that when you turned 18, you could not stay living there. So his brother had left a few years earlier, so he was 6 and they were 6 and 9 when they went there. His brother had stayed till he was 18 and left. He turned 18, but still had his senior year at Batesville High School. Had nowhere to go. So at the time, the superintendent of schools at Batesville was a man by the name of Sidney Pickens. Sidney Pickens took Tom in to their family. Now, Sidney was the superintendent of Batesville from 1912 to 1930. And one thing unique about him, he's the one that gave the nickname Pioneers to the Batesville athletic teams. You see, he didn't want an animal, he wanted something that was stoic and unique, so he picked Pioneers. He also dubbed the term a pioneer never quits. In 1927, there was a lot of things going on in this country, exciting things. One thing, Mount Rushmore was just being built that year. Charles Lindbergh flew the Spirit of St. Louis across the Atlantic. Henry Ford came up with the Model A car that year, and as soon as it came on the market, the first 2 weeks, it sold 400,000 vehicles. And of course, the great man Babe Ruth belted 60 home runs that year for the New York Yankees. leading them to the World Championship, and then that team is sometimes considered the greatest team in baseball history to this day, with Lou Gehrig and the famous Murderers Row. But in this area, there was something special going on also. See, in Tom Murphy's senior year at Batesville High School, he won 6 events in the district track meet. He was an all-state football quarterback, and at 6'2", 195 pounds, he was a pretty nice sized man for that day and age, 1927. But the 1927 Batesville Pioneer basketball team was very special in the fact that that team, led by Tom Murphy, Wesley Carpenter, went undefeated during the regular season and won the Arkansas State Championship. In those days, there were no classifications, so when you won it, you had to beat everybody. Also in those days, if you won the state championship, you got to go play in a national championship with all 48 states at the time playing with presenting their state champions. That Batesville team in 1927 went in and defeated a team out of Clovis, New Mexico, then they defeated a team out of North Dakota, a team out of Michigan, a team out of Georgia. They made this championship game. And Thelma Pickens' story, she says that night in Batesville, Arkansas, that everyone gathered at every place that they could that had a radio. And the radios were hard to come by then, but that game was broadcast, and it was in Chicago, and they were playing against Cicero, Illinois. At that time, Cicero, Illinois was known basically as the home of the mafia. But that's who Batesville played in the finals, and it was on the radio, and in her story, she says that, and there is a rumor that those Batesville boys were told if they ever want to get back to Arkansas, they better not win that game. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But during that game, she writes that the streets were empty in Batesville. You couldn't hear a sound except for the dogs barking unless the Batesville team scored, and then you could hear yelling coming from the churches and from different houses and stores that have radios. In that particular game, Tom Murphy fouled out with 5 minutes to go, and Batesville lost by 2 points for the national championship. Yet, in 1927, when that team came back on the train and came to the depot, townspeople met him down there and carried him all the way from the depot, which is where Fox Creek Barbecue is now, all the way back up to Main Street, and had a huge celebration. And for 1 year from that day, anybody on that team, which there were 8 total players, they got to eat free at any restaurant they wanted in Batesville for 1 year. So that team was greatly, greatly celebrated. I'm going to tell you about Tom. He goes on, as I told you, he won 6 events at track meet. Great athlete. He goes to the University of Arkansas. At the University of Arkansas, he also ran track, but he made all Southwest Conference 3 years in a row in basketball. In football, as a Razorback quarterback, he led the Razorbacks to their first ever Southwest Conference championship and was named the Houston Post Player of the Year in the Southwestern Conference. During that time, he was also student body president for 3 years at the University of Arkansas. Married a young girl from Fayetteville there. Went on to play 4 years for quarterback and punter for the Chicago Cardinals in the NFL before an injury sent him back to Arkansas, where he became head football coach first at Little Rock Catholic, where he went undefeated, and then the next year at Henderson State University, where he went 10-1. Just when things were great, he had 3 daughters at home, things were going great, World War II broke out. Tom had been in the ROTC program at the University of Arkansas, so naturally when he went enlisted, he would have enlisted as an officer, but when he got there, they found out something. Tom Murphy had tuberculosis. So instead of going to the military, he was sent to a sanatorium in Boonville, Arkansas, where he basically lived the rest of his life. Saying this, though, about Tom. In 1964, he was inducted to the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame along with Bear Bryant. At the induction ceremony, they said that he possibly was the best all-around athlete at that time in the history of the state of Arkansas. A phenomenal athlete. I read another story about Tom where he was introduced at the White River Water Carnival here, and it said 3,000 people rose to their feet and gave a 10-minute ovation to their Batesville's favorite son. I wanted to say all this because it's a proof that fame is but a vapor. You know, a lot of people do things and do great things, but it doesn't take long to forget about those things. So that's what we want to do here, is to keep those memories and things like Tom Murphy's story going so they can be remembered. And they will be told for generations at a time. Tom passed away when he was 72 years old. He's buried in Oak Lawn Cemetery. He's buried on High Street right next to the Pickens family, he and his wife, Grace, because I've visited his grave a few times. But when he passed away, it was said by his former teammate Wesley Carpenter, by the way, I want to backtrack, that year in the national tournament, there were only 5 people named All-American, and Batesville had 2 of those, Wesley Carpenter and Tom Murphy. And had he not fouled out with 5 minutes to go, they probably would have won the ball game. Anyhow, at his funeral, almost everyone that spoke said that as great an athlete as Tom Murphy was, he was even a greater young man. As I said earlier, Tom Murphy had 3 daughters. They had to move to the Russellville area, and he had several granddaughters that he enjoyed. But one of his granddaughters, Miss Elizabeth Ward, won Miss White River, Miss Arkansas, and later Miss America, and then starred as Raven on the Highlander series. So that's my Tom Murphy story. That's the one I'm going to tell. We'll come up with another one in the induction ceremony next year. We're going to start things off tonight by presenting one of our greatest honors every year, and that's the Estes Award. The recipient of this award shall have contributed significantly to area sports by means of time, dedication, expertise, or philanthropy, and have brought distinction and pride in a positive manner to our area through their actions related to sports on a state or national level. The Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame Board of Directors shall have broad discretion in determining the recipient of this annual award, which is named in honor of the late Mr. Bill Estes, one of the original founding members of this organization and the winner of the first Estes Award in 1991. Bill Estes was a local professional photographer and a true gentleman who was beyond generous from the 1950s to the 1980s with his services and products to local schools and sports teams located over a several county area. Tonight it's a great honor for me to present our presenter for the Estes Award, our superstar, Attorney General, Independence County's own Leslie Rutledge, and she'll be presenting Canaan Sandy with this year's Estes Award.
Now, Kane, are we on? There we go. Now, Kane, get comfortable. We got a lot of good things to say about you. Well, thank you so much, Coach, for that introduction. And it's always good to be back home in Batesville, Arkansas. Am I messing this up, Lance? Here. Let me use this one.
Let's see if that one works.
All right, is that better? I got a few nods. Is that better in the back? Okay, perfect. Well, it is good to be back home in Batesville tonight. And some of you don't know this, but if you don't, well, you haven't read the news. But I'm from Batesville. I'm a graduate of Southside. I will never be inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. During my years of playing sports, and Mr. Ted Hall knows this, that I had to learn how to hit it over the fence in softball in order to just make it to first base on time without getting thrown out. In basketball, you had to be quick to slide a credit card up under me. I learned how to play tennis. My doubles partner didn't always appreciate me hitting her in the back. We did go to state twice. And in golf, we didn't have ladies golf, but that was probably been my best sport. But earlier, I guess maybe a week or so ago, Ginger, Sandy, reached out to me and said that Miss Sharon Bell wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. And I believe that she's got a grandbaby, is that right? So we need to say extra prayers for that grandbaby from Miss Sharon Bell. And Sharon wrote some beautiful things, and I want to read those. But when Ginger reached out to me, in addition to being a big Razorback fan, I'm also a big country music fan. My friend Justin Moore is playing tonight in Little Rock. I don't know if we got any Justin Moore fans. And I had that on my calendar, but as soon as Ginger reached out, I said, I can hear him play anytime. I can't come celebrate my friend Kanan every day. But I want to read a few things that Miss Sharon wrote for you all. She talked about how when she first came to Batesville as Miss Arkansas in the White River Carnival Parade, and Ned Metcalf invited her back a few years later to help judge with the pageant. And they had been there as part of the parade, and the parade float, she saw this Maytag washer and dryer going by, and this adorable young man in a little bow tie as part of that float. And that night on the stage, and I believe on the stage was still down there at the river and no longer, or it wasn't, we didn't have UACCB yet. But that night, when they announced the parade float winner, it was, of course, that adorable young man in the bow tie. And he came running up to her and hugged her and thanked her so much, and because he thought that she had picked out the winners. And she wasn't about to tell him that she didn't deserve that wonderful hug she got. And Miss Sharon talks about just incredible, and I'm going to echo these words, just the incredible parents that Kanan has. That every child should have parents that love them as much as Ginger and Danny. And we also have some videos, and so I actually, and it may be great, Kanan, if because we have the videos, why don't you come sit where I was sitting, Kanan, up here, so that way you can watch these videos. Because we had, I believe, 3 or 4 folks that have sent in, including some Razorbacks, some former Razorbacks, and our own Governor Asa Hutchinson. So let's play those videos now.
Congratulations on your award and being inducted in the Hall of Fame, man. That's awesome. You know, I still remember that 50-yard touchdown you had in the spring game. You know, I didn't know you had wheels like that, man. It was incredible. And I know the Hogs mean everything to you, and I think you're just the kind of person that every Hog fan aspires to be. You're truly one of a kind, man, and congratulations.
3, 2, 1. Hey, Kanan, this is Richard Davenport. Congratulations on being inducted to the Independence County Area Hall of Fame. You're already in the ESPN Hall of Fame, and I'm sure you're not done. Your passion for the Razorbacks is unsurpassed. The Razorback coaching staffs, the players, and the fans appreciate you so much. Also know the impact that you have on Razorback recruiting. You traveled thousands of miles through the years to see Razorback recruits and to support them. It's also a big deal for the towns that they live in when you show up. You're a blessing to so many people. To be able to see that big smile and get a big hug from you is a big deal for so many people, including myself. Again, congratulations on being inducted, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Love you, buddy.
Hi, Kanan. I have so many memories of you high-fiving our football players as they poured out of the team bus. And who could forget your 50-yard run when you leaped across the final distance into the end zone to score a touchdown. Razorback Nation was thrilled when ESPN named you Fan of the Year. That was a big deal. But today is even a bigger deal because it's happening right here at home. Your friends and fans in Independence County are inducting you into the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame. You have earned this honor. You have been there pumping your fist and calling the Hogs whether they won or lost. I love to tell people that the #1 Razorback fan in the United States has come to see me in the governor's office at the state capitol. Congratulations, Kanan Sandy.
As you all can see from those incredible videos, how much Kanan has inspired athletes, inspired our leaders. And to me, that's what really makes this award so special tonight. As we celebrate these incredible athletes, each one of these athletes being celebrated tonight or who are listed in our programs, they know what it means to have someone believing in them, cheering them on, being their encourager every single time. Now, I know Miss Ginger probably has to console you, Kanan, and when the Hogs lose. But we don't like losing. Kanan doesn't like losing, and I don't either. But having someone who believes in you, who has that heart of gold, every athlete here, every parent here knows when their child's out on the field, you want someone like Kanan cheering for your child. You want to see someone like Kanan high-fiving your soccer player or your football player or your basketball player. But it's not just sports Kanan loves. Theater, musicals, church programs. He's the all-American young man. And I say young because he's 40 and I'm no longer 40. This morning as I was going to my daily devotional, and it's really remarkable how each and every day is laid out for us. And today, as I read through my devotional, Kanan, and I'm going to read parts of it to you all. July 23rd, I am the light of the world. Men crawl through their lives cursing the darkness, but all the while I am shining brightly. I desire each of my followers to be a light bearer. The Holy Spirit who lives in you can shine from your face, making me visible to people around you. Ask my Spirit to live through you as you wind your way through this day. Hold my hand in joyful trust, for I never leave your side. The light of my presence is shining upon you. Brighten up the world by reflecting who I am. Is that not Kanan Sandy? He shines the light of Jesus' love to people across this state. He has 20,000 followers on Twitter. He's one of the most recognized faces in our state. He's the #1 Razorback fan. And as someone who loves Independence County, who loves Arkansas, it is my distinct honor tonight to bring forward the 2022 Estes Award winner, my friend Kanan Sandy.
It is my privilege and honor to give this plaque to Kanan Sandy, Estes Award winner 2022 Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame, to a very special guy.
Let me say that. Thank you. Somebody, Stacy. Thank you. Love. Wow. Sharon. Thank you. Love you all. I miss you so much. and Brandon and Asa and Richard, you are the PEST. I love you, you. Hello to everyone. How is fun? This. Wow. First, thank you so much too. They in the county Sport Hall of Fame for this amazing honor. Thank you. Thank you to all of you, my family and my friends who came tonight, and for me. Thank you. Thank you to you and to you, and you and to you for really me and he be your leader and for to transform me. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you for letting me love. And you are, thank you for loving and for loving and me, for the all schools and teams and my respects. Thank you for all your joy and bring me. Most of all, thank you, dear Lord, for everyone blessing my life in every way. Hey, let's call the Hawks.
Now, you know these words. I'll hold this, you call the Hawks.
Those respects and the Lakers. I love you all. Have a good night.
Congratulations. Congratulations again, Kanan. Next up on the agenda, I'd like to ask Mr. Richard Blevins to come up here, and he'll be presenting Donnie Branscombe into the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame. I'd like to also say that introduce someone here to you. Mr. Shad Pierce and his wife Tammy Shad is the newly elected state representative for the Batesville area. Go ahead and stand up there, Shad. Tammy. Now I want to say something else before Richard gets up here. Also in the most recent election, Richard's nephew, Stephen Walker, was also elected to the Arkansas State House of Representatives in Izard County.
I don't know if I can follow just what took place in here or not, but I'm not even going to try. Coach Branscombe, Donnie Branscombe was I guess a lifelong resident of Independence County. Grew up here, played basketball at Oil Trough. He was an Oil Trough Bear through and through. And from 1967 to 1971, he started out playing for what was Little Rock University, which is now ULAR. He started for him for 3 years. He averaged about 20 points a game his last 2 years. He got all conference honors. But before that, he was, his senior year, he was all conference his junior and senior in high school. But before that, he took the Bears to the state championship game, Barton Coliseum. And back then, it wasn't easy to get to a state championship game because if you were, all you old guys like me remember, there was about 40 teams in every district. You didn't even play half of them until you saw some of them in the district tournament for the first time. And they only took one out of that whole group. And if you don't remember how many Class B and A schools there were back then, they were on every corner, really. But I think they got beat by Greenbrier, I believe by 2 points. And I think you only had 2 losses the whole year. Am I right, Coach? Three. It's all 3 to Greenbrier, which is now what, a 5A school? Which is now a 5A school. But he played, like I said, at that time, ULAR or Little Rock University they didn't play in a conference. Because if they had I'm sure Donnie would have got all kinds of awards the last 2 years he played. Because like I said, he averaged just under 20 points a game his last 2 years. Also, he was recognized as probably one of the best softball players in the state also. So when I tell you he was kind of an all-around athlete, I don't know if he ran track or not, but if there's such a thing as track back then, in small schools. In small schools, now wait a minute, in small schools. I think that he would probably been very good at that too. Coach Branscombe coached basketball for 16 years, going to state tournament 4 times. But that's not what got him here tonight. In 1987, he started coaching baseball. And he won 2 state championships in baseball, one in 1993 and one in 2012. I think I've got those dates right, don't I, Coach? And there's no telling how many. I was there 13 years with Coach Branscombe at Midland. There's no telling how many times he ran the regionals, how many regionals, district, and conferences he won. And back then, you had to go through Midland to win the state championship. Kind of like at one time, Batesville, you had to go through Batesville to win the state championship in football. And I think that he did a great job with their kids, his Mustangs. A lot of people don't realize, I think, he had some really good players. I look back at the kids he coached, and I can only remember a lot of the pictures when I was there, and some after that. He had Kenny Gass. He had the Harmon boys. Both of them could pitch. Won the state championship with one of them. Well, actually, they were both there when they won the state championship. He also had the Gatorade All-American. 39-1, I think, is what he ended up, Coach, his 43-1, his baseball record. He was a Gatorade. He had the 2 Fortsons. One of them was a dad that played for him, I guess, the first year. And then he had his son who played for him. And was he the pitcher on the state championship team? MVP. But Coach Branscombe, like I said, I was there 13 years with him. And he did a great job. Coach Branscombe was a great athlete. He was a great coach, but he's even a better person. I present Donnie Branscombe.
It is my pleasure to present this plaque to Donnie Branscombe, and I'm going to add a little bit here, who I consider personally one of the top 5 basketball players in this county that I ever witnessed, and I've witnessed them all. He was that good. Anyway, Donnie Branscombe, class of 2022, from the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, some people asked me if I was going to be nervous when I got up here. I said, no, I've taught 10th grade U.S. history. And, you know, when you teach that, they'd all not rather be there. They'd rather be playing on their cell phones. And they're just pretty sure you're an idiot. Yeah. So you have to watch what you say with them. Now, I want to thank Richard Blevins for doing that. I appreciate that. And just bear with me here. I've got a story or two to tell. But I want to thank my wife. She's sitting right there in the middle of the table. She's always encouraged me, been behind me. And I have 2 of my daughters here. Stephanie, raise your hand. Misty. And they're here with me tonight. And have Josh, who's back here. He's my stepson, played ball for me too on that real good team. And my grandson, he's over here. So I've got well represented tonight. Now, start out, I have a basketball story. And this involves my mom, who's there, holding your hand, Mom. And really kind of ties in with Gary Anderson a little bit here. You know, he was superintendent at Cushman forever, and always a big fan of theirs. And we were playing them for the conference, both undefeated, and we're in practice. I'm going in and shoot a layup, just 2-line layups, you know, couldn't be any simpler. And this one kid cuts my legs out from under me. Now this doesn't seem possible for you basketball players, but I sprained both ankles when I hit the floor. And so I thought Coach Snellgrove was going to kill that kid. And anyway, take me to the hospital. The doctor says, you can't play tonight. I said, oh yeah, I got to play. So I get home and my mom tells me I'm not playing. So it gets about time to go. I get my little satchel. I'm headed towards the door. She said, you can't go. They told you not to play. I said, I'm going to play tonight. I've got to play. And so she said, well, you may be a cripple the rest of your life. You know how moms are. Anyway, I went ahead and played. Coach Snellgrove said he could work a miracle. He could tape them up. Anyway, I played. I had the best shooting night I've ever had. 15 for 17. I missed 2 shots, you know. But it was one of those like a Steph Curry night where you couldn't miss. Just close your eyes, throw it up. You seen him shoot, take off, don't even look at it. That's how I felt that night. And we ended up beating them 2 points in overtime. And I was on crutches for 3 days. But I didn't care, we won. It was all worth it. And George Snellgrove, who was my high school coach, and I have to say something about him. He's still, I regard him as the best coach I was ever around. And he had a way of motivating you that was just, he could make you feel about that tall, or he could make you feel that tall. You know, that's just how good he was. But anyway, we're playing, I see Austin and Spencer. We're playing Cedar Ridge. And this was way before them. But anyway, we're playing Cedar Ridge. We beat them bad both times during the season. Sorry, guys. And we played them in the semifinals
of the county tournament. And I had probably the best night I ever had overall. I had 30 points, 18 rebounds. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sitting up front. And we get back to the gym. We'd won by 10 points. We'd beat them bad, the others, but we won by 10 points. I'm feeling pretty good. Bobby Joe Kramer. I don't know if any of you know him, Bobby Joe. I still hold this against him today. He stood up and said, boys, let's go to Dairy Bar. And at Southside Dairy Bar, that's when it was there. And you probably remember that. Good old Southside Dairy Bar. But anyway, so let's go to Dairy Bar. Coach Snelgrove come up out of that seat like he'd been shot. He said, no, we're not going to Dairy Bar. You got 5 minutes to get in that gym. Hey, it's 11 o'clock already. So we go in the gym. He puts 20 minutes up on the clock. We start running. And so we run for 20 minutes. He puts 20 more minutes. We run. And then we scrimmage a full game. All right, parents are stuck and come. He locked the door. They're beating on the door. Hey, I want my kid. It's after midnight. They call the superintendent. He comes down there. R.F. Stewart was superintendent. He comes down there, says, listen, George, it's after midnight. He said, leave me alone. I'm practicing my boys. He was like, God, nobody, okay. He just went on. But anyway, we play Cushman the next night in the finals and get beat by 2. And he come in the dressing room and he was crying like a little baby. Well, that got all of us, And then we go to the regional, we just blow everybody out. We were motivated like everything from then on. And got beaten in the semifinals of the state that year. Okay. When I was a senior, I had, I think 17 scholarship offers. Arkansas College, then, not lying, but Arkansas College wanted me real bad. But I had a cousin that was the coach at LRU, Cleve Branscombe. He ended up going to Florida as an assistant coach. And because of him, I signed. And he left the next year. Well, first 2 years, we weren't very good. Last 2, we got better. And when we changed from LRU to ULR, I don't know what happened, but we started getting a little bit of taller players. Oh, I have to say this too. College basketball is a little different than high school. First time I go in for a shot, I'd never had a shot block in high school. Never had a one. 6'8" kid puts it up in the 3rd row. And I just thought, okay, there's a little bit more to this game. I learned a little more about faking, a few more moves, and was able to do it. All right, I want to move on to, say something about softball. I played softball 10, 15 years at a real high level. Stu Smith played with me. I've got several here that played some softball with me. And that was some fun times, was playing with that. But, when you got kids and all this other stuff going, it finally wore me down, and I had to just quit it. Also, that's my right knee has not forgot that either. Now, we mentioned a while ago, Richard mentioned this, about our first state championship. And Matt Harmon was the best pitcher I had in a long time. Well, at that time, he was the best one I'd had. And he could throw 93, 94, which then that was just like unheard of. Had a great slider. Okay, we're playing Viola, and we turned out whole school. How many times did you get in the state tournament? And it was at Batesville High School. That's where the finals was. We turned out the whole school. We're there, and right before the game, Viola's coach, and I can't remember his name, it escapes me, we met out on the field, changed lineups. He said, Coach, here we are. We've wanted to be here all our lives. And he said, I'm about to throw up. And he said, I'm so nervous, I cannot hardly stand it. And I said, well, I know how you feel. I said, I'm that way too, but I said, it'll be okay. I was hoping that meant we was going to win. Well, anyway, we go down. We're up 5-2. It's the sixth inning. Yeah, sixth inning. And and they've got runners on first and second, nobody out. And you almost would have had to know Matt to appreciate it when I did. I went out, I said, I got a different approach for him. I said, Matt, I want you to realize something. I said, we're 6 outs away from winning the first state championships ever been done here at Midland. It's all on you. He said, I got this, Coach. No problem. He struck out the next 6. They never touched the ball, you know. And when he was on, you couldn't hit him. I mean, that's just what it was. And that was our first one. The second state championship team, 2012, that group, and I'm going to say this, that year we won the Batesville tournament, first time ever. We got to state finals several times, and that was always one of the best tournaments around because we played 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, all together, and we never had won it. But in 2012, and I had 3 good pitchers. You know, 2A, that's unheard of. You know, if you got 2, you're lucky. You know, if you got 1, that's pretty good. But I had 3 that wasn't much difference in. And we were able to win it because I had all 3 of those. But anyway, we go to the state tournament. And we hadn't played well. We finished like 3rd in the regional. We weren't playing good. And I thought, well, they're tired of hearing me talk. I'm going to do something different. So when we got there, we got all the way to Taylor. Well, they don't have a motel in Taylor. You know, you have to stay somewhere else. But anyway, we go to the motel, and I said, okay, you got 30 minutes to get, I picked one of the seniors' room. I said, we're all going to meet in the room, 30 minutes. So we get there, and I just sit there. I don't say anything for a minute. I said, Coach, didn't you want us down here? I said, yeah, but I'm not talking. I said, I want my 5 seniors to come up here and tell me and tell all your other players what it would mean to win this state tournament. And I'm telling you folks, there wasn't a dry in that room when they got done. And we ended up winning, you know. And I don't know if that did it or what, but something motivated them from that point on. Well, I just want to close with this. I just want to thank everybody associated with this. I mean, this was a great thing. We just want to see it keep getting like the county fair, bigger and better. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations again, Donnie. For our next presenter, I'd like to ask Coach Danny James to come up, and he'll be presenting our Alonzo Childress. Danny was my boss for 9 years when I was coaching at Batesville, and I was fortunate enough to coach with Danny when we had our Alonzo on our team. 2 great people, so excited about hearing from both of them.
Stewart should have been a lot more than coaching. He could have been at CNN or somewhere. It is my honor and privilege to present Alonzo Childress, a.k.a. Alonzo. If you are familiar with Pioneer football, you'll know that the Childresses made a considerable contribution to the program. Alonzo, was the first Childress in 1987. All cousins, I think. He never complained about so many people calling him Alonzo. His name is Arlonzo. It even made the media that way, and I apologize for my part in that. The thing I remember the most about Arlonzo, back in 1987 when I first met him, he was very small, very frail, but he was very polite, very respectful, but he was very slow of foot. Alonzo went on to learn how to play defensive back at Batesville High School. He developed his strength in the weight room. He developed his speed on the Batesville track team. And he was very determined, very determined. By Alonzo's senior year, we needed him on offense as well as defense. At the end of his time at BHS, there was a consensus that he was a good student, a good citizen, a good leader, a great teammate, and also a good football player. If you know anything different than that, don't tell it to me. I'm already decided. I will tell you about a highlight we had in 1989. I can think of many highlights to tell, and this probably won't make a lot of sense to a lot of you, but it's a little story about momentum and how key plays and key persons can make a difference. We'd lost the first game to Newport, and I'm not going to tell you what the score was. A lot of people lost to Newport in those days. The second game was North Little Rock Northeast by the score of 20-15. And the third game was against Mountain Home. We were behind 7-3 with less than 5 minutes to play. The Mountain Home defense had loaded their defense, and they schemed us to our strong side, which we had a tendency to run power plays to. We were having trouble even making a first down. Coach Dave, if I remember, suggested that I run the buck sweep to the open end side, which meant the wingback would carry the ball, and that would be Arlonzo. My concern was that we hadn't timed that exact situation very much that week, and I was afraid of a fumble. But because we were so stalemated, went ahead and ran it. The Pioneers did execute that play. We did block that play. Alonzo took that thing 73 yards all the way to the end zone. It was like a switch went off. The Pioneers came to life, and as time was running down, Mountain Home started throwing the ball, and Pioneer defense, I think this is right, intercepted 3 passes and ran 2 of them back in the end zone. Anyway, Pioneers win. And that was a great highlight memory for me. Alonzo had a lot to do that. After high school, Alonzo walked on at UCA, better known as University of Central Arkansas at Conway. In his second year, he was granted a scholarship. He became a starter, and he started for 3 years for UCA. He played on 3 conference championship teams. He played on a national championship team. And he was so convincing that the next level professionals took a look at him in association with the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. Injury ended his career in Dallas. But Arlonzo is a highly educated person. He has 2 master's degrees. He's a cardiac practitioner nurse in the Austin, Texas area. And so, with great pleasure, I present Arlonzo Childress.
Again, my pleasure. Extreme, especially to this guy. We've got some history too, and I'm not gonna tell you. But it's basketball, and I don't know if we want to go there again.
Beat me every time.
He said I beat him every time. So, Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022 inductee, presented to Arlonzo Childress.
First, I want to thank the Independence County Area Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for this honor. One of the things that I want to mention in a little bit detail about that story, about that slow story. So here's the detail about this story. So it's two-a-day practice. It's hot. You know, the grass, they would always cut the grass and we'll have practice so you have grass. But the good thing, you had that morning dew on you. So I'm stretching and Coach Treadway comes by. Hey, where you from? I said, I'm from Little Rock, sir. Man, why did they send us the slowest player? I said, Coach, I'll get faster. But that's where that story came from. And then to add a little bit to the story what Coach James was saying, I think that time at Mountain Home, you know, with everyone, you always have to give credit to the other people that made that possible, like the offensive line and all those individuals that set that up for us. So that was a great experience for me as well. But as I look over the crowd, you know, I look and see there was a lot of individuals here that have made a lasting impression in my life. You know, God had a different plan. I had already had things planned out. I said, well, you know, we're getting these calls from these NFL places, and they calling back to your high school coach. I said, man, I'm gonna go ahead and go to this NFL, and I get to retire by the time I'm 35. And just, man, I had it all planned out. But God had a different plan. And thank God for his mercy and his grace, you know, because without that, you know, there's no telling where you would be. And I thank God that you had the opportunity to not only instill the importance of education and teamwork and everything that helped me carry on to when things didn't go the way that I wanted and had it planned, that I was able to fall back on something that was even more valuable, which I continue to do today to try to be a positive role model in, you know, in society, to give back to the community and different things. So that's a very important thing for me. My wife is not here with us. She's battling a little sickness, but I do have my great supporting cast. But as I mentioned to you before, when I look over, you know, Arthur Montgomery and the different individuals that helped me when I moved here to be the person that I am, you know, and I can think of all kind of memories from everyone here. And Batesville will always have a place in my heart. And I was telling Coach, it was like, man, I got to try to get back more to give back, because this is what helped me get where I'm at now. And I want to thank you all so much, you know, because I couldn't be this person without you all. I couldn't, nothing. And then with the grace of God. So I want to thank you all so much for that. Thank you, Coach James. Thank you, Coach Smith, for Treadway. You know, those individuals have been a blessing and encouragement for me. And so I really do appreciate that. That's all I have. And thank you all again. And y'all be blessed.
Congratulations again, Alonzo. Next on the agenda, I'd like to ask my longtime buddy and voice of the Batesville Pioneers, Mr. Mark Lambert, to come up and do the presentation for Mr. Bill Luster.
Thanks, Stuart. He is like a brother to me. If anybody besides myself and Diane could raise my kids, it'd be this man right here. Coach Branscombe, I remember Matt Harmon and Jason Harmon, the late Matt Harmon. What talents. They were part of that 1995 state championship team, American Legion. We traveled to Oklahoma, fell a little bit short, but I'll always remember Matt and Jason. Quality people. And you did such a great job with that program. Also, it is football season, just about 6 weeks. If you look on your placemat, you'll notice in 2002, my lovely wife, Diane, was the Estes Award. So I've got a great hand for her. And you also know she was the only woman in that group. So she's been my partner for many, many years. In fact, it'll be 50 coming up this Friday. So I love her. There are many individuals in communities such as Batesville, large cities, small towns that make significant contributions to their communities. These individuals are often anonymous or overlooked for a variety of reasons. Many don't want the credit and like to operate under the radar, and instead are content to pass on their skills and knowledge for the love of the game. These contributions are often immeasurable until you total the number of lives they have touched. Communities large and small are enriched many times over as these skills and knowledge that have been acquired by hard work as well as talent are passed on to the next generation. Our next recipient is one of those individuals with outstanding credentials as an accomplished sportsman who has gained national prominence and has imparted his achievements and success to many of the young people of Independence County. Self-discipline, the ability to focus, and to execute under pressure are just some of the traits required to become a top-flight archer. In competition, it's just you, your bow, your arrows, and your nerves as you attempt to hone in on a target that is perhaps 70 meters or 70 yards away. Success is measured in the ability to maintain this needed focus and skill to compete over an extended period of time. Our next recipient is an example of these very traits that has guided his foray into competitive archery, but also his life in general. Bill Luster was born in Poinsett County near Mark Tree, where as a young hunter he acquired his first bow by swapping his BB gun for a primitive bow with his best friend. So much for Bill's skill as a trader. He first started shooting rabbits and moved on to stumps and tin cans. Why he started with a fast, mobile, and agile prey to an immovable object is a mystery to me, but maybe he will enlighten us on that progression of targets. He became more proficient as an archer and was the first member of the Crowley's Ridge Bowman Club to win a state title. He has served as president of the Arkansas Field Archery Association and is a member of the Arkansas Field Archery Association 500 Club for shooting more than 500 points in a tournament with a 28 target field. Bill had the record for winning the Arkansas State Championship for 5 consecutive years, 1965 to 69. He held consecutive titles such as the Tri-State Tournament Championship, which included archers from Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. He has been nationally ranked by placing in the National Field Championship, which is the Super Bowl of archery. His relationship with the legendary Ben Pearson of Pine Bluff inspired him to follow as the Arkansas State champion and became nationally ranked as Mr. Pearson not only encouraged Bill, but in some ways ramped up the pressure by providing him with some of his personal bows for competition. He retired shortly thereafter from competition in the late 60s. In 2017, he was brought out of retirement to lead the students of Susan Parker and the Eagle Mountain Elementary students to prominence as these proteges were nationally ranked from 2018 to 2021. It was this relationship, perhaps with young children and connecting the sport of archery to hundreds of Independence County kids, that was Bill Luster's greatest accomplishment and gift to this area. His wife is here, his son is here, and a whole bunch of relatives. They take over this whole side of the room, so too many to mention, but he's loved by his family, of course. Bill is now an avid golfer, but I must be candid, while he knows where his arrows are flying, his errant golf shorts are legendary for hooks, slices, and whiffs. Also, there is no truth into the rumor that after tonight's performance, the grand finale will include Bill shooting an apple off the top of my head. Unless that apple is as big as a pumpkin. In other words, we're not here for Bill's great golf exploits. We're here because of his exploits as a national archer, but more as a man of Independence County who gave back to his community. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Bill Luster.
I'm extremely honored to be the person that gets to hand this plaque to a true gentleman and a remarkable sportsman, Bill Luster.
I don't know what else I can say after Mark got through. I'll just give you a little background. I was born in Judd Hill, Poinsett County, got on the riverboat at Two Lot, went through the floodways, got off it at Mark Tree, and I've been heading west ever since, and that's as far as I've got. My oldest bow over here, I've traded a BB gun for when I was 8 years old, and it's 73 years now. Wait a minute, that makes me. It does. And then the next bow was my anniversary bow, and I'm still married. Still married. 62 years old. That's right, she is. And I've got two bows over there. One that I went to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, came in 8th in the tournament there. Came back, won 2 state tournaments, I believe that's where it was, and was getting ready to go to Jackson, Mississippi to the national tournament. I lose count where they are. And I was practicing in the backyard, and a limb split on it. Well, that's not any good at all. I was like a gun without any bullets. So I called Pine Bluff and asked them, a friend of mine down there, I said, find me 3 bows of this weight within this range and this length, and I'll be down there to get them on the way to Jackson, Mississippi, not even getting to shoot it. So I got down there, and they had 3 laid out. Mr. Pearson come by, handed me a bow, and he said, son, if you can't win with this bow, you can't win. You think there wasn't any pressure put on that thing. Well, it went to Jackson, Mississippi and come in sixth. So that was pretty good. And they come back and won 2 or 3 more to make 5, whatever it was, with that same bow. Got to shoot it, very little practice ahead of time. So Mr. Pearson was a big man in my life and would be today if he was still alive. So that's about all I got to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Mr. Lester. For years, Mr. and Miss Lester were my neighbors, and I've missed them ever since they moved. Miss Lester coming by with her little dog Sparky. You get to talk to her every day. So great people, and well deserved. This next inductee, I'm going to get to be the presenter on. Remember back in 1997, we had the best catcher in the state of Arkansas at Batesville. His name was Lance Lamberth. It's Mark and Diane's boy. Had a scholarship already to the University of, or Mississippi State University in Starksville. They call it Stark Vegas, I think. The best catcher in the state of Arkansas, except we had a bad experience in the fact that he received a torn labrum his junior year and was not going to be able to catch his senior year. Still went on and had a fantastic senior year for us and was actually voted the Arkansas Baseball Gatorade Player of the Year in the state his senior year. So, but we had all the makings of having the best team that we had ever had, except now we were missing a catcher. I kept thinking, who am I going to get to catch? Who am I going to get to catch? We've just lost the best catcher in the state of Arkansas. Say, God, please help me. And lo and behold, God works in mysterious ways, because all of a sudden, the best catcher in the state of Florida landed in Batesville, Arkansas. Chris Westervelt came to Batesville in the summer of 1997, played Legion baseball, had a great season. His dad had taken a management job, I think, at Medallion Foods in Newport. His parents, Kathy and Andy, looked at a few schools in the area for Chris and his sister Sarah to attend, including that was Newport, where his work was, Jonesboro, and Batesville. We were sure happy that in the long run he chose to bring his baseball talents to Batesville. Chris was a standout catcher for Batesville High School from 1998 to 2000. As a sophomore, Chris had 6 RBIs in the state championship game, as he not only helped the Pioneers win the 4A state title, but also the Pioneers earned the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette #1 ranking in the state for all classifications that year. He was named the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette Mr. Baseball for Player of the Year. To this date, the only sophomore to ever win that award in the history of the state of Arkansas. During his sophomore year, Chris had a .558 batting average. He hit 14 homers, had 62 RBIs. As a senior in 2000, he was also named the Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year. During his career, Chris became the Pioneers' all-time leading home run hitter with 30. He was a 3-time All-State selection. 2 main things I do remember about Chris during his high school career. Some things become legendary in a kid's career. And when Chris was a junior, he suffered a back injury that really hampered him and hurt him when he had to torque during a swing right-handed, and so it was really bothering him. So in Chris Westervelt fashion, what did he do? He turned around and hit left-handed, although he was not a switch hitter, and still was one of the best hitters in the conference, left-handed for a lot of the year. Second story I like to think about Chris that I heard was when Chris was a senior. I had left and gone to Van Buren, but when I came back to Batesville, Coach Gary Rhodes used to love to tell this story that's legendary to me, in the fact that Chris Westervelt played his entire senior season at Batesville High School, and during that season, only twice did he ever swing and miss a pitch. He either fouled off or hit the ball fair on every swing but 2 in a 32-game season, which is remarkable. And Coach Rhodes tells me just something you can count that it's true. Of course, Chris was highly recruited out of high school, one of the best catchers not only in Arkansas but in the country, but it had already been planned where he was going to school. I don't think there was any doubt. He was going to Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. His grandfather, Dick Westervelt, had been the sports information director and broadcaster at Stetson for years. And the opportunity to be around his grandfather again on a daily basis outweighed any other possible offer that could be presented to him. So Chris goes on to attend Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. I remember we had the privilege of, our team came and watched Chris play one time all the way in DeLand, Florida. We were playing in a tournament at Cocoa Beach, Florida, and we just went over and watched him play. And so we were very fortunate to do that. And Chris was a two-time Atlantic Sun Conference Player of the Year, 2002, 2004. Now Stetson, this is a Division I baseball school, and a very good baseball school. He finished his career with a .350 batting average, 44 doubles, 35 home runs, and 135 RBI in 190 career games at Stetson. I think just recently, is Jason DeGrom not from Stetson also? I thought so. A fine major league player. During his two best seasons, Chris hit .403 in 2002, .385 in 2004, and he earned a total of 4 All-American awards. 2002, he was selected to the Collegiate Baseball Second Team and Baseball America Third Team All-American Team. In 2004, he was named All-American from the Collegiate Baseball and College Baseball Insider. Also a two-time All-Region selection, Chris helped Stetson to the NCAA Regionals in 2001, 2002, 2003, and the Hatters won a total of 160 games during his 4 seasons. His career batting average ranks 10th in school history, while he also ranks 7th in slugging percentage and 4th in home runs. In the classroom, Chris also starred as a two-time first-team academic All-American in 2002, 2004. His jersey number is retired by Stetson University. At the time, he was only the second Stetson player to be inducted into the Atlantic Sun Conference Sports Hall of Fame. Chris was drafted in the 11th round by the Los Angeles Dodgers in 2004, where he played 3 seasons. As an Ogden Raptor in his first professional season, Chris hit .341 with 12 doubles, 10 home runs, and 37 RBIs in 49 games. After his baseball career ended, Chris went on to get his MBA from Stetson University and is currently Solution Architect Director for Granicus Incorporated in Lake Mary, Florida. He and his wife Katie have 2 wonderful boys, Jack and Joey. It's with great honor that I tonight present to you Mr. Chris Westervelt, an inductee into the 2022 class of the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame.
Okay, I've never had the honor to hand a plaque to a Mr. Baseball, but tonight I do. Chris Westervelt.
Let me get my notes here. I see pictures like this, and that's why I talk about, how long ago did you play baseball? I don't talk in years, I talk in pounds. Thank you, Coach Smith and the Hall of Fame committee. Really happy to be here tonight. Ever since I got the call from Coach about this honor, I've been excited about the opportunity to give thanks to the community and the people that I believe had a big impact on my life, and not just baseball. I've had a couple of opportunities to, as Coach was just talking about, to thank those in my life for, and be awarded accomplishments and things, and I've cried my eyes out every time. So let's see if I can keep it together tonight. Coach Smith, again, thanks for the kind words. Moving here my sophomore year in high school from Florida was a pretty big shock, culture shock, and could have been a hard transition for anybody. Coach Smith was one of those people that very much helped me through that. I can remember the first time I met Coach Smith. one of my friends walked me into the coach's history class, first day of school. And, here's the baseball coach, new baseball player, introduce each other, talk to each other. Coach looks me up and down. The first thing he asks is what position I play in football. The answer was I don't play football, which was a shock because everybody around here plays multiple sports. Wasn't so much the case in Florida. One thing I think we saw tonight was Coach Smith's storytelling ability there for a little while. I think that was one of the most fun things I had as part of that process. Was I can't tell you how many practices or how many games everyone stayed late and Coach is just telling baseball stories, and it was a pretty good time typically. Obviously a master motivator and taught me how to hold the rope, right? Again, when I found out we were moving from Orlando, Florida to Batesville, Arkansas as a 15-year-old boy, big changes were coming, fear of the unknown. But my earliest days here, I think, can sum up the welcome I felt. That first summer, we hadn't moved here yet, and I was living in the Ramada Inn, north of town here. Dad had already taken the job, and my mom and sister were still selling the house in Florida, but I was living in the Ramada Inn because I was playing Legion ball in Babe Ruth League that summer. So 15-year-old, no car, brand new to a town, not a lot to do, and Dad's driving to Newport to work every day. So it was great though. Had some friends that I had met obviously through the team and ended up picking me up every single day from the hotel to give me something to do on days we didn't have practice. I didn't even plan on talking about this, but it makes me think of Legion ball and how hot it is here. I mean, typical couple days here, but we were talking earlier today, and I can't imagine my folks and everybody going out to watch doubleheaders in Legion and 102 in Arkansas. I couldn't even make it across the parking lot without starting to sweat, so I'm not sure how we managed. That summer was great. I was the new kid, had a pretty good summer, and as Coach was just talking, we had a pretty special season, that first season at Batesville. I look back on that team, and I played on a lot of really good baseball teams over the years. Whether it was in youth baseball, we won the Babe Ruth League World Series when I was 13, state tournaments, come here, and I can say even after playing at all different levels of baseball, that team was probably the most dominant team amongst its group, right, compared to everybody else we were playing on. 34-3 or something, and that was a wild year, and it couldn't have put an exclamation point better, I think, on a new year and a new place. So I think the fondest of memories for that time. Obviously baseball was going pretty good, having a good time with that. But again, moving here, the community itself and the friends I made and the families that are here, and to echo what Alonzo was saying, you look out on the crowd here, you see lots of friends and families that made a big impact on your life. And so it's, I can say Batesville's a special community, and I'm definitely honored to have been here. I only lived in Batesville for 3 years. My folks and family lived here for much longer after that, and I was always here for holidays and came here all the time. But, only 3 years out of my 40 years here, and if someone were to ask me, what's your hometown, I still say Batesville. It's just, that's what comes out of my mouth. Last and certainly not least, family. My dad Andy and my stepmom Pam are here. We lost my mom about 12 years ago to cancer. She was my biggest fan. So having sons of my own now, I can only better appreciate the sacrifice people make to put you where you are. You think the countless hours of batting practice and long toss and catch and all those things, and you don't appreciate them as a 15, 16, 17-year-old. But my dad coming home from work and going out to the field to do that for hours afterwards. You can, again, definitely better appreciate it later in life. My sister Sarah's here. She, grew up as the sister that had to follow Chris around everywhere to every baseball game. which can be tough. And I know Coach Smith likes to tell the story of the first time he met my sister, which was Sarah runs up to him and says, "You know who I am? I'm Chris's sister." So I think, I'm as proud of her and her accomplishments as she is of mine. So thank you for being here today. I met my wife, Katie, while I was in grad school. And she was the first kind of, important person in my life that didn't know me as a baseball player. So she had never seen me play a game. And I was lucky that we found each other and I was able to channel passion that I had for baseball into my personal life. Thank her enough, and I lose big. Mark, you blew me out of the water. You give a 50th wedding anniversary. Our 10 years this month, so thanks for that. My Uncle Randy's here too. He spent countless hours at games watching me play as well. And lastly, there's two little rugrats back there that have been a pain to everybody, I'm sure, the whole time. Look forward to watching you grow into young men. I guess lastly here, there's a saying that says, I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days before you've left them. Well, my time in Batesville was definitely the good old days. So thanks, everybody. Good night.
Congratulations, Chris. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Spencer Reeves up, where he will induct or present his mother, Nicole Wilkin, into the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Okay, I hope y'all can hear me good enough. First of all, congrats to everybody that's been inducted so far. Any Hall of Fame is a big deal, so just want to say congrats first off. I went back and forth today, saying Nicole Wilkins being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm sitting there that's weird for me because I've never called her Nicole in my entire life. So it's mom to me. So I'm gonna do my best to go Nicole Wilkins tonight for her night, so everybody knows her by name. But to start off with a story of her, I guess her story started in Self Rock, Arkansas, a long time ago, and my mother-in-law, I guess back in the day, played against her in high school. And the first thing she said was, I was like, "How was it?" She was like, "We walked in the gym and we were so scared." Like a 6-foot woman that ran the floor super fast, having all this college interest, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, "That's what you thought about when it came to a game?" She's like, "Yeah, we were terrified. We're all 5'6", and she's like 6 foot. So that's the biggest thing when it came for Self Rock High School. After that, she was able to make a transition to North Ark Community College in Harrison. And, I think I was about 10 to 12 years old when I found out that she led the nation in scoring at JUCO in North Ark. And I'm going I don't know what that means. 32 points a game, that's awesome. I knew that. And come to find out when I got in college, I knew how actually impressive that was. That doesn't happen every single day. Averaging 30 points at any level is a big accomplishment. She was an All-American there. She's in the Hall of Fame there. After that, she was able to go to Arkansas State, was the Lady Indians at the time. Now it's the Red Wolves, where she had a 2-year career coming out of JUCO. She's the only person on that list of top 20 scorers of all time to do it in 2 years. And I think there's only one other girl on the list that did it in only 3. The rest were 4. So she's 17th in all-time points. So that's impressive. She averaged in her 2 years there 19 points per game, which is second all-time of career averages. After that, I've had plenty of people ask me, why didn't she go play in the WNBA? That wasn't a thing at the time. And another thing is they said, well, why didn't she go, with the overseas experience? I like to always joke and say that she decided, she wanted to start a family. And maybe Austin can attest to this too, is she wanted to become a crazy sports mom. And a little bit of joking, a little bit of not. But I think I can really say that, me and him are both appreciative of how she was and how much she pushed us and how competitive she was, because I don't think we'd be where we are today, without her. So I guess it's the last inductee of the night, my mom, Nicole Wilkett.
I am honored to present this trophy, this plaque, and I'm going on a limb here, to perhaps, no doubt, the best female basketball player, top 2 or 3, and many of us argue the best basketball player in the history of Independence County, Nicole Wilkett.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Aren't they sweet? They're usually not this sweet, really. They're putting on a show tonight, hey. But thank you, Spencer. Get my notes here. Okay, good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my family and friends for always encouraging me and supporting me along my journeys. And I'd like to thank the Independence County Area Sports Hall of Fame members for all their hard work in putting this together tonight and each year, recognizing individuals in our communities. Also, congratulations to all of this year's inductees and to this year's recipient of the Estes Award. Congratulations. Since I can remember, it's been sports. My older siblings, which the one closest in age is 6 years older than me, they all played sports. So being that bratty little sister that I was, whatever they liked, I liked. Their favorite team was my favorite team. Their favorite music was my favorite music, even though probably shouldn't have been, it was. They played basketball, so I was going to play basketball too, and it ended up being the sport that I loved. First part of my basketball career all took place at Sulphur Rock. Played Pee Wee ball there through 12th grade. And I remember one Pee Wee game, according to Spencer, that was a long, long time ago. But we won the game, and I was the high scorer for the first time, and boy, I was really excited. And when my dad was still alive, he would bring this game up from time to time because he thought it was so funny that the final score was 2-0, and I had that one bucket. He thought it was cool, and I was happy. Much of my junior high through high school was a Sulphur Rock-Newark rivalry. Sometimes it got mean, sometimes it wasn't. But one thing, it was always competitive. I'm thankful for my school, all of my coaches, great teachers, and friends made along the way. Then it was time to move on, and I chose to go to North Arkansas Community College in Harrison. I thought this was a good choice for me because it was a small school atmosphere that I was always used to. But I remember the first day of practice, and all these girls were good, all of them. So this made me have to work harder and harder because I didn't like someone being better than me. Not saying that they weren't, but this gave me the drive to work super hard every day to better myself. We won a lot of games and learned a lot of lessons, good and bad. I met my best friend for life there, Janet DeVore Carter. She's here tonight with her family, along with my mom, my fiance Keith, and my two boys, Spencer and his wife Casey, and Austin with his girlfriend Jenna. Thanks, guys, for being here. After North Ark, it was time to move on, and ASU was my landing spot. A little different atmosphere there. You could walk across campus all day, not see anyone that you knew, didn't have anyone to talk to. It was very different. And then the competition in the Convocation Center was intense. It was time to work even harder and harder every day. I remember being so sore in preseason that just getting out of bed was brutal. We traveled a lot. Keeping our schoolwork up was hard but mandatory. And those 6 to 8 hour layovers in the airport were crazy. Probably most of all, missing holidays at home was hard. We usually got McDonald's or Burger King for Thanksgiving. But I wouldn't change any of that for the world. The life experiences were amazing and made me grow as a person. The competition didn't end after college. Having 2 sports-minded, very competitive boys kept that alive. When they were young, it was normal for me to walk out on our outside basketball court in my pink robe and my fuzzy house shoes, and I'd beat them in a game of horse, and I'd walk away, I'd be cheering, I won, and they'd just stand there and watch me. They probably don't remember it that way, but that's a true story. True story, guys. Admit it, I was that mom, times 10. After they started growing, becoming more physical, and winning, they started beating me all the time, I decided it was time to be the spectator and their biggest fan, which I still am today. So as I stand here tonight, I do feel very honored to be chosen as one of this year's inductees into the Sports Hall of Fame. It's been a great night, and thanks for everyone who come out and supported us, and thank you for everything. Appreciate it. Thank you for the flowers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great night. And congratulations once again to all our inductees tonight, their families, their friends. Thank you all for coming out and supporting them. Hope to be back here again next year. So, as my old buddy once said, thanks for your time this time. Till next time, so long. What I would like is for all the inductees and their presenters to please come up front tonight for pictures, if you don't mind. Also, if anybody would like to have a laminated copy or would like to take more laminated copies with them, some of you have one already, some of you don't, but if you'd like to have more, we have some more in the box here. Feel free to come in and take one or more.